Nice, 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 nice. We thus and then have operational definition, verification of triangulation to the nth, to the x, to the a, to the b, to the m, to the n, to the z, to the y, r, t, o, p, d, K's last, F we got, E, L, W, C, V, S, Q, U, I, J second to last, G maybe third to last. I don't really know where we are here. I think that's it. And that's with all the numbers originally. And I did all the roots for that, so I don't care what root numbering system you're using. That's kind of exactly what third room is. You know, your kind of alchemy, sorcery, that sort of thing. If you're looking for a title, header, that kind of thing, it's Stalinic Hasidism, Hasidic Stalinism, if you want a check on that. So that's all going. That adopts not only seamlessly into military policy, but then the military policy which we established as kind of a central aspect of not only like the humanism term. I'm a humanist, going all the way through pacifists. Entire nonviolent actually is kind of the kickback on military, but then we also kind of have our central structure kind of dealing with respect, so there's no need for like a martial law. We can just simply incorporate this. And then also the third room, or Hasidic Stalinism, or Stalinistic Hasidism, take your pick, was verified in not only Israeli terms, but then we also used that to kind of coordinate as a central staff, which then verified, validated, if that's your thing, the military proposition, which kind of existed on its own. That was the presentation of the Pentagon in very real and also super symmetrical terms, which I also wrote in black, which categorized all of that, validated all of that. That validated kind of the West Coast thing that we talked about the other day, dealing with the backdraw from international waters. That validated the Blackwater position held by General Petraeus, the proposition from General Petraeus regarding a need of the CIA, which was under attack, or the proposition of the CIA regarding Blackwater, which was under attack. Hey, how about that? Dajjal was solved completely. Unfortunately for my opponents, all of which are, I'm not going to say conservatives, because that's kind of something that's reserved really, in Israeli terms, it kind of goes to kind of an orthodox, which has no problem whatsoever with Hasidism. They think it's incredible. They celebrate it. They love it, maybe as much as I do, maybe not. We're not going to put units on that sort of thing because it never actually gets there to any point of pertinence or application. Um, so, Concerweens, I think, is how I would pronounce the word that I came up with. Um, and then that is the direct relation to a kind of problems-based society dealing with the ego and egotistical, which exists only in opposition to exactly what we just established, proved, verified, validated, unionized, voted on, adopted, became, was, were, is, all that fancy stuff. Because we did that, not only to the 300%, but I mean, we're talking, the whole letters thing here, all the way through like basis of English and all that sort of thing. In some regards, I would love to be able to expect you to be able to operate up on that level. However, you're not born with that sort of thing. People are always evolving. You're kind of an ignorant shit whenever you first crawl into the world, sort of thing. And I understand that and respect that because I understand and respect what it is learning. That gets our basis into kind of the Oriental through Tao, goes all the way through Islam Arena. I'm not going to say Islam, I'm going to say Islam Arena, to the Adams Matrix, which was adopted, proved, signed, verified, validated, all of that. It's incredible. Big thanks to Mr. Huxley, actually, for a lot of that. The finality or disclosure or closure or synecdoche or hope or light or future or moving forward or present or whatever, deals with the Palestinian grade raw, which I have here. I'm not doing imperialism, which validates the Hindu aspect. And then that whole vector ends up translating to kind of a protection of the nativist, especially and including Native Americans, who might be one of the most persecuted groups in all of history, which is doubtlessly one of the most shameful aspects of American history. However, as we draw through that and find out about that, we find out that it's actually the Anglican and the British and the things that we declared revolution against. We do have clarity with that. Anyway, we throw all that in the blender or set all that out on the table, and it makes the exact same thing, which means that we're dealing with things in a beyond reductionism term, which satisfies basically the Lincolnian proposition, dealing with the, how would I say it, the provision or provenance of kind of some various aspects that don't need refought. In the end, we're going to call that a kind of singularism, which is something that is my proposal, actually. I own that. And so that all ends up becoming the same thing, basically at any point that you wish to pick. For the purposes of constitutionality, we're going to take it to the furthest extent possible, which deals with the international waters. All of that works. Goes all the way back through personal, negating personality, which is not really a real thing, especially in spiritual terms, which I've explained prolifically, um, dealing with a lot of the platforms, God idea, um, all of that. So whichever way you want to take that, it's satisfied. Whether it's a religious thing or something to live by. If you separate those sorts of things. What else? So basically the MK Ultra clause, we started at the top where it would tilt out and then worked all the way back down. We can work all the way back down now, going to kind of the experimental aspect of what's appropriate to kind of expose a citizen to. This correlates basically a kind of character or proper regarding operational definitions of some side of conscious, which you can personally take into a kind of conscience related a consciousness rather than doing some sort of stunt regarding awareness, which results in a kind of presenteering, which is in violation of existence present masonry, which was established a long time ago. Coordinate framing, so that you don't have to do unlearning. All those sorts of questions, kind of with the Freudian aspect, which more or less just turns into this shithole of non-awareness and experimentation that deals with ego and images and shit like that. Goes to the imposition and superimposition of that, why your society at large, quote unquote, is decaying. You are responsible for that problem itself. That is your fault. We don't need to rehash that. We took that one to the tilt. They had nothing left. Kind of barreling into that kind of egoism, and then that ends up kind of claiming the referendum more or less of separation, but it's on the far side, and we're dealing with things kind of in the building terms, which we talked about the other day. Things on the other side of the building, so such that it's a problem where a problem occurs, what a problem is. That branches out into kind of I guess I would say two different kinds of problems, which ends up being one problem. So you don't have or need or necessitate or whatever some sort of dictation of some kind of duality, which can never be solved, the insistence on some sort of duality. And then that, of course, corresponds to the ethic regarding there is no precedent regarding the necessity of having to teach alchemy or magic, and this ends up relating tri-binary all the way down on the bones level, the atomic level, in coordination, validation, verification, triangulation of initial space, which itself is constitutionality. That's kind of the hardware of why personality is bullshit, and then that corresponds to the illusion of safety sort of thing, which ends up kind of going back toward the Second Amendment aspect of things. And then that, of course, we already fought that out to that point, but that whole second law is first law horse shit, dealing with the impediment associate, again, back to the 1880 proposition God idea versus sacrificial rites of Aaron, which is detailed and understood and all that sort of thing. I'm not going to hold your hand walking you through that, having done that to the point of enlightenment. Shit, over 8 times, are we up to a dozen? I'm just kind of done with that and kind of more or less including kind of the enlightenment sort of aspect into the magic sort of aspect, the alchemy and all that, and that sort of protectionism, if we wield it and pipe it correctly, ends up going to a kind of equality regarding Islam especially, and then the thing that's particular and on the table, I wouldn't say resultant, the Albert Pike essays regarding the Third World War, but rather the presence of the Antichrist, which creates the problem. We wouldn't have a problem otherwise. Things are kind of instantly understood, and if we keep things on the level that they are rather than boiling them down to something that they're not, we find out that Islamic folks are total patriots, totally constitutional, constitutionally protected. That whole realm of things incorporates flawlessly into Hasidic Stalinism, rendering that the Second World War didn't need fought, and neither did the First, and neither did the Civil War. So we go through the whole choreograph of war, and we find exactly what we thought we would find, what was proposed that we would find constitutionally, verifying the Constitution at large, what we will export instead of some sort of capitalistic notionism that doesn't relate, pertain, become, enshrine, protect, alleviate, anything. Take your pick of words, I don't care. Why that's all outlawed. So there's 1,500 little maps and trails going the whole way through exactly what I said. So far as the constitutionality aspect, if you want, like a business card version, it deals with that 0.03% that the government more or less buys from you, such that the government will deal with crime, punishment, vengeance, sort of vengeance is mine, says the Lord. We have definitions of all of that. That kind of reiterates the American society as a gravity-based sort of thing, going all the way back into the Kabbalic reversal of yes and a no sort of thing, going all the way through the actualist, really, proposition, which regards some of the oldest religion that's on the planet, the oldest religion that's on the planet at its basis. There's no separation. We dealt with all that, kind of the black and white sort of nonsense. It's the exact same thing. There's one world. Intuition is black is how we ended up turning that out. All of that's correct. All of that's good. All of that's true. All of that's nothing to fight about. So we have no problems on the back end of that. Philosophy is left wide the fuck open. Philosophy at its furthest extent ends up becoming the third room proposition, because we're dealing with, from consideration to expectation, those sorts of things end up in the religious realm if you want to, sort of thing. We don't have to deal with kind of semantics of philosophy at this point, because it deals with a kind of education. I support free thought, so does the United States. We're not doing this big brother control shit. Limitations on learning. Don't think it's dangerous. It's only dangerous if you think it's not dangerous, kind of how we're dealing with awareness and all that sort of thing. Already talked about the various policing regarding the environmental. Third room covers that explicitly, but then also kind of verification of the third room, or what third room becomes, I guess, if you want to term things in terms of that, kind of dealing with the philosophical aspects of what you're going to propose rather than what you know, sort of thing, such that other people aren't responsible for your emotions and that sort of thing, because that kind of correlates, not choreographs, to a kind of psychology. Psychology regards a kind of actualism, which is the one that we're taking, by the way, and using, because at its furthest extent, it's that psychology doesn't exist. You use your brain in that capacity only when there's a problem. We're not into proliferating or exacerbating or capitalizing on problems by necessity, not only of the Constitution but also existence itself, such that infinity remains unlimited, such is the spirit, and such is the way and roads of constitutionality, pursuit of happiness, refusal of crime, all of that. So I'm not going to go ahead and rehash that because I don't feel like it. And I'm the one who's teaching, and there's not actually any need to. So we're going to take that one too. So as we move forward with the 2+ platform, which was verified, validated, a couple weeks back, dealing with everything from organic farming to schooling, and everybody good knows exactly what that is. That ended up becoming a union surrounding the Blackfield center of the Blackfield, deals with the representation or drawing out of the Pentagon in a supersymmetrical form, again proving that intuition is black. What that sort of thing is, where these various lines are, and all of that, dealing with the constitutional aspect, especially related to kind of sexuality verse, or is a kind of personal, what you are, what you claim, energetic forms, all that sort of thing that was dealt with as well. So far as I know, there are no questions whatsoever remaining. Definitely not any existential ones that we have to discover or whatever. So far as the constitutional formats, our definitions of traitors, terrorists, treasonous, organized crime, whole way through groups, all the way down to groups, fixed all of that. We have a whole semblance and a whole union of workers. We have a clear direction. We have great leaders. Nothing to worry about in that instance aside from just resistance to it. I'm sure as hell sick of the plateauing of the blue collar. Are you mad? All the way to and through the instance of there is no white collar. Go fuck yourself. Basically, the staple on that is that the corporation works for us. We don't work for the corporation. So we get to basically all those kind of fascist policies, everything dealing with drug tests to microchipping people. Go fuck yourself. And we have clear regulatory on that sort of thing. And that turns out really well. We have centers, we have moral centers, we have floating centers, we have sand centers, we have the entire thing, mathematically and whatever else, going all the way up to the Einsteinian, which we dealt with, theories of everything and all of that, took care of that. So yeah, we're not in any sort of revert. We are under attack, as I said. However, their guns have been taken away, sort of thing, and they're kind of running around their own rat maze, which is not something I'm going to be holding their hand doing, at least not consciously, kind of the not with you, not without you sort of aspect we just talked about last night. Says they're kind of struggling their way out. They have sown their own seeds, reaped their own doom, and are waiting for the, I don't know how to say it. I'm going to go ahead and let them deal with that. But the eventuality is exactly the same. It's not going to be altered. We're not fucking with time for the sake of manipulating an environment to molest somebody's emotions, to coordinate some sort of predetermined thought for the sake of producing some sort of action, be it blackmail or whitemail, both of which suck and are illegal. We have, layers and layers and layers of defense against that. It always gets shot, you always know it. Bullshit detector goes off, even before you run into it. So, yeah, that's the total. All the magic's protected. princess and sex change and sorcery, necromancy. All of that stuff's fine, protected, good. Um, you can go right through it. I detailed the fuck out of it, no questions left there. Certainly not coordinating any sort of problem or something like that. And then we're kind of dealing with usages and things like that, and it can be only one thing, which goes to your necessary completion, which is constitutionally endorsed. Zero problem, zero error there. So yeah, it kind of outlaws the evangelism, going the whole way through. Personalities, your blackmail traders, your presenteering, all that shit. So just as the building of, or rather the wrap or the illusion is a more appropriate way to put it, of illusion of safety, kind of collapses in on itself and recognizes itself as the disease. Oh boy. So looking forward to that, Love seeing those faces. Oh, that's mine to deal with. Great. Should have stayed away. Wish that was the case. Don't need you, and you can't use me, So that egotistical trash, all of the same thing. We have piles and piles of ways to get rid of that, ways to fight that. It's only if people are insisting on it that it exists, and that ends up coordinating some sort of will. We go with actualism, and we find out the kind of the organic root, the true root, supersymmetrical root, numerical root, all of that. So rather than sitting here and just continuing to explain what I just told you, that's kind of the end. So we're going to leave it there. I got a couple things to write, like my essays and that sort of thing. It's not too horribly complicated, maybe less than 30 pages, something like that. And that kind of deals with maybe intensity and what that looks like appropriately, which kind of takes care of my my long-term goal and quest regarding the kind of DS and how to define that. But we got to go actually through third rune so people don't get evangelical about shit. Thanks so much to the truth, is how we're going to say that. Being able to help me out with that sort of thing. What it is and what it isn't. And we have that goes all the way through the Palestinian, the old school, all of that. So now we're up to modern times, 2012, New Age, supporting, of course, the law of time, those various amenditures. And there's no stasis, there's no derivation, there's no division, there's no violence. We unanimous perfect order, to reference my friends on the east side of Asia. Incredible people. Big thanks. So all that's accessible, all that's open. We're not limiting anything like that. And then to that, actually, as we move forward and kind of get rid of the Occidental trash and replace it with some Oriental gold, which goes on and on and on and on forever. We get into like the various energy works and things like that. We do have pot legal at this point, but as we move forward, it would be the decriminalization of all those drugs, including the decriminalization of prostitution, energy work, massages, that sort of thing. This is not something that's outlawed. This is not something that's an enemy, all that sort of thing. And I would love to see that covered by insurance. Kind of as we move forward, so like a perk of what you would get with some sort of, going the whole way through school, so long it doesn't suck, and has nothing to do with anything. Kind of like something that you would get, to keep you sharp, disciplined, tight, in tune, all of that stuff. Which is what blue collar is doing anyway. So we have a non-classes and non-caste sort of thing. And as we deplete an empty mask world, hand that back over to the military. Jesus. We get rid of kind of these issues with AI. It goes all the way down to basically an only placebo pussy. And then we don't have to worry about and debate all that shit anymore. Antichrist shit. Whatever. Done with it. We've done it. And that's the end. So, hope the good people are well and hope the bad people stay away. That's what's up, and we're going to be marching forward. Don't expect anything good from the condemned. I'd rather not have that as my highest height sort of thing. I do have other things to do. But if you need kind of a back wall sort of thing, just do that. I mean, we're not dealing with good people, folks, It's all those psych chicks and all that other shit just to steal from you and get you to kill yourself. So, done with that. So big fuck you to them for wasting even more time. But we're going to kind of backroll that karma onto them. Having identified that, know what that is, defined that. So they're going to start paying for that too, and it's going to have some psychological effects and I'm sure some ramifications on AI. I'm sure they're going to come back to me, some sort of pedophile fucking. Anyway, yeah. So that's where it sits. That's where it's going. That's what it was. It's what it were. It's what it is. And that's the totality of the 0.03 shit that we're getting rid of / the government deals with. That's how we do it. And we'll be able to make that more fine, I think would be the term, as we progress forward fearlessly. That's about it. That's what American policy is. Constitutionality, all of that. What we are, what we do. And it's a beautiful thing, So happy you get rid of the trash, Just wish there wasn't so much and that it didn't bite, But shit, who knows about too much to ask, right? So catchphrase. And my website's up and running again, so we'll try to keep that online. Of course, that's probably not going to happen, but, there are... Anyway, so yeah, just keep the problems over there, please. You already know that if you're on the good side. And that's how to do it. So thanks. All right.